Okay, so this next one is number 4 worksheet. This goes over the blood types. Do we just want to go over all this just to go through it? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to start over here and we're going to work this way. So this is your red blood cell, right? And what do we do? The blood type is type A. Right? It has the antigens and antibodies. Okay, so whenever you see, so something you'll notice is that, so okay, let's see. Okay, antigens are protein codes. They're like the mask. So like we have faces, red blood cells don't have faces, and that would be interesting, but they don't have faces. They have antigens. So antigen is like their face, okay? And you can think about like gangs too. Actually, that's probably a better one. So like bandana colors, that's like the antigens, right? So let's see. So if you have type A blood, the bandana color, or the face of the red blood cell, is going to be type A. So on the surface, it's going to be all A. Right? Okay. So it's all type A. Antibodies are things in your bloodstream. Okay? So antibodies, let's see. So antibodies in type A blood are B antibodies. They attack anything that is a B cell. So if these antibodies were A, what would happen? Antibodies sorry, I should have probably said. So antibodies are things in your immune system that attack things that shouldn't be there. So if you have type A blood, you're going to have type B antibodies because they're going to attack anything that is type B. If you have type A antibodies, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
Nothing? Are you sure? It's going to attack itself. You're not going to really live. Yeah, so antibodies attack things. But if it's type B, this is like why blood transfusions, why you have to be the same type for most of them. Because if you have a type B blood cell, this is just a red blood cell, it's another one that's floating around in here. B antibodies will attack it. So antibodies attack things that are opposite from the red blood cell. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay.
You said opposite.
The
opposite of the blood cell?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if we have type B blood, what will the antigen be? What will the identity be?
B.
It'll be B, right? And what will the antibodies be then?
A.
Yeah, inside the immune system. It will attack anything that has A on it. Okay, so we got that part. Okay, what about type AB blood? What will the antigen be for type AB?
AB.
So you have A's, you have B's, A's, B's, antigens A, B, A's, B's. What will the antibodies be?
You won't have it.
Right, because if you have B antibodies in your blood, it'll attack the AB. If you have A antibodies in your blood, it'll attack the A. So we have no antibodies for type AB blood. This is why type AB is known as the recipient, I think that's how you spell it, the recipient receiver. What does that mean?
It means they can receive any type of blood
they can, just like Michelle.
Yes.
Okay. I almost called her Lewis. I was like, no, that's her last
That's
name. So, or I could just say Michelle Lewis. Okay. But what she said, type AB blood can receive any type of blood type, and that's available. So they can receive type A blood, type B blood, type AB blood, and type O, right?
But
This is because
wouldn't the antibodies from an A or a B attack?
no, because if you have A and B antibodies, it'll attack the red blood cell. So you just don't have any. Is that the answer to your question?
But if you have type AB blood
Mm-hmm.
and you receive a type A blood
Mhm.
that has B antibodies in it, won't it attack?
Yes, that's true. But usually when you receive blood, it's just blood cells. They usually leave the plasma out.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, what you're saying, does that make sense? So he's saying if the donor has type A blood, and that happens sometimes, the donor has type A blood. So you have the recipient and the person who's sick or who's bleeding or something, and you have the donor. If they have type A blood and they give the plasma, which is like the liquid portion of the blood, and the blood cells, then the recipient's immune system inside the bleeding person will kill the bleeding person's blood cells.
So the antibodies are in the plasma
Yeah.
itself,
Yes.
not,
Okay.
Yeah.
and so when they do a transfer, you are getting only the blood and not the plasma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So does that make sense? Okay. What about if you have, that's a very good point. I think that makes it a lot easier. What about type O blood? What's the antigen?
There isn't it.
It's just type O. Well, what are your antibodies?
AB.
Mm-hmm. So you have A antibody, B antibodies, A antibodies, B antibodies, right? So this is why type O is a recipient donor. So, right, donor, O blood, right? So, is the recipient, why was, okay, let's ask you this. Why is type O the recipient donor?
So it could go
Because
to
they can
anyone.
give to anybody.
Yeah, because it doesn't have A or B antigen. It doesn't even have an identity. And it's so inside of only red blood cells are transferred, right? So type O won't cause a reaction no matter who it's in, unless the person's like AIDS or something,
Right.
There's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, that's a disease. And we're just talking about blood.
Right.
This is perfect world, okay?
Right.
There are no diseases, no nothing. Only like bleeding people, I guess. We're talking about this, but what can be an issue with type O blood? Yeah, and why can you only receive O blood?
Because it has A and B antibodies.
Yep. So it can give to everybody, but it can only accept from itself. So isn't that that's pretty depressing. So
There's a lot of old people.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing about it. Well, actually, type O.
No, there's only, I found out, I'm O negative
Oh.
and 10% of Caucasians, that's all.
Yeah. Oh.
Negative.
Well, we're about to go into the negative and the positive because the positive is more.
That was my next question. We haven't covered the.
O negative is
That's
very
what-
rare.
Yeah.
I went to I directly donated to my niece several years ago, she had heart surgery.
Oh,
And they
okay.
asked, what are you, and I like quietly saying, I'm negative because you're the most sought after. blood
Yeah.
type, so.
Yeah. Well, we're about to get into the positives and the negatives. So.
Yeah.
So you will have, so just to make this straight, you will be a type of blood and then you'll have an RH at the same time. But I'm just kind of splitting it up because I don't want to be like throwing too much.
Sure. I appreciate that.
So there's that. Yeah, but type O is O negative is really rare. But something interesting is that when you look at, if you guys ever get a chance, there's something called the blood type diet. So apparently people with specific blood types have certain, like, because the blood type can identify your type of metabolism. So some people, yeah. And there's like a whole, like, you talk to Janet about this, she may go into it also, be warned. But people with type O blood, that's what mostly, like, nomads, like cavemen and everything, they all had type O blood starting out, right? Because they had to have all those antibodies to attack other things that came into their blood. So so we all started out, the theory is we all started out with O blood, and over time, I think